Facebook. So I'm just going to wait for a second so we can just check the sound. There we go. Hopefully we're live on both there now. Yeah, both okay. Good evening everyone and welcome to the Justice for Aaron Brady campaign. Just going to give a brief update on the James Flynn bail hearing this afternoon in the CCJ. Again, we see it as nothing short of farcical. We see it as a complete and total circus. Some of the submissions put forward today by this man replicate 12 months ago when we called him out as a liar and he committed perjury in the CCJ on the 15th of April 2024. He done exactly the same today. His arguments against James Flynn were completely and totally that's not, there we go. See it? Yeah. Excuse me. Well, that's senior Detective Mark Phillips, who was the only one who took the stand today to oppose James Flynn's bail. There is an article that has been sent through on, I think it's courts.ie by Owen Reynolds. And I think if I can get that on Caroline's phone, I can run through what Mr. Reynolds says. We'll take it in chronological order because I just had notes all over the place. But I will say complete and total farce. But, as always, the truth will out. And three glaring areas and parts of the framing of Aaron and James Flynn stood out head and shoulders above all else today. And that was Ronan Flynn. Mark Phillips today told the court on numerous times that Ronan Flynn was a critical witness in the case against Aaron. Now, this is interesting insofar as, Ronan Flynn is not involved in Jimmy Flynn's case. He's not a witness in it. There are no witnesses in Jimmy Flynn's case that is set for retrial. So the assertion that witnesses are going to be intimidated in itself is a farce. The only witnesses, unfortunately, are the poor people whose vehicles were stolen will have to come back in and go through the court process again. Whatever time that's going to take those people and whatever that is going to cost the state. James Flynn has been acquitted of all those burglaries because both Tony Hunt, the presiding judge over the trial, acquitted James Flynn and Brendan Traynor of all those burglaries. Judge Tara Burns in the appeal said there was insufficient evidence. In her report, said there was insufficient evidence for any of the burglaries. So that was a complete fabrication and a total setup to create a narrative that simply does not exist. So the report today, here we go. Witness intimidation fears if accused man of conspiring with Garda killer given bail, court hears. So now James Flynn is only conspiring with Garda killer. They're changing the goalposts continuously. Again, James Flynn has been acquitted of all these creeper burglaries. James Flynn has also been acquitted of any involvement of the Northern robbery at Lordship Credit Union on the 25th of January 2013. This is vitally important, and I know it's a concept. I've spoken to a number of people today on the phone, and I've been speaking to people in the court of our interactions and gathering information and speaking to people for assistance and help and guidance. And nobody can understand how, if James has been acquitted, how are they going to try him again for crimes he's been already acquitted of? So James had nothing to do. So that headline in itself, Mr. Reynolds, is somewhat misleading. There was no conspiring with the Garda killer. Detective Inspector Mark Phillips today detailed numerous incidents that he said were attempted to intimidate witnesses and jurors during Aaron Brady's trial for the murder of Detective Garda in Donoghue. We will come to it in a second, but one of them I thought very interesting. I've got a little giggle all over there. It's where, was it Caroline? He said, Caroline Brady, Aaron's mother, was overheard saying, "The tape is a thorn in the side." And this is in a serious court of law. Mark Phillips is putting that forward as some form of intimidation. What Caroline has heard, this is overheard. She didn't say this to anyone. She wasn't aggressive. She wasn't hitting the guard. She wasn't attacking the guard when she said any of this. So the tape was the thorn in the side. But of course, Mr. Phillips, the tape is Agent Matt Katsky offering inducements and threatening James Flynn at Belfast Airport. And we'll come to where you purged yourself again in respect of that. Sorry, I'm going to have to keep opening this phone. A detective inspector has told the Special Criminal Court that he is concerned about potential witness intimidation if a man accused of conspiring to steal cars with Garda killer Aaron Brady is released in bail. So the first thing is there are no witnesses. There are no witnesses to James Flynn in this case. So that is a crock of shit from the very beginning, from the very first paragraph. And James Flynn has already been acquitted. I know I'm going to have to keep repeating this, but people do get hard to understand. This is our Irish judicial system. James has already been acquitted. In his objections for bail to James Flynn, Detective Inspector Mark Phillips today detailed numerous instances of what he said were attempts to intimidate witnesses and jurors during Aaron Brady's trial for the murder of Detective Garda in Donoghue in 2020 at the Special Criminal Court. And no disrespect, Mr. Phillips, the man who shot your colleague is 6'3". Aaron Brady is 5'7". And we have highlighted that, and I suppose it's not a point to be overlooked lightly. Notwithstanding, he said that James Flynn's father, Eugene Flynn Sr., asked the father of one critical witness to stop his son giving evidence. A jury minder also made a statement to Garda. He said he became concerned with Mr. Flynn Sr.'s behaviour towards jury members. Detective Inspector Phillips, now, the cause for concern there was that Eugene Flynn Sr. and myself, we were standing in the foyer of the court. I'm not sure of it. Most people probably don't know the inside of the CCJ. Very, very large foyer. And we would be standing in the foyer, and the jury members would enter and exit the building. And it's very important, it was mentioned today, we were the only, Aaron's trial was the only trial in Western Europe. And indeed, I don't believe there's no trials in America or Canada at the time. We were the only trial in the Western world that was driven on by the Irish judicial system during COVID. We left here, drove to Dublin, and never seen one car on several days. So there was no one else in the building. So there was no way of us actually missing, we all used the same door. If there was any concerns about our behaviour, nobody was ever questioned. None of the Gardaí protecting the building approached myself or Mr. Flynn Sr. and said, we have some concerns as the jury are entering and exiting the building, the concern that you're standing looking at them. Never mentioned. This is all makey-uppy after the event to create a false narrative. It's complete and total nonsense. And I don't believe, well, I'm not sure, I don't believe any of the jury made a formal statement to say that they were being intimidated in any way by Mr. Flynn Sr. Detective Inspector Phillips said Mr. Flynn Sr. and Aaron Brady's father, Tony Brady, attended throughout the trial and behaved in a way that Gardaí believed was intended to intimidate members of the prosecution team and others. Now, he definitely gave no explanation as to what way we behaved. Myself and Caroline sat in that courtroom and never spoke. I spoke on one occasion when Detective Jim McGovern accused me of saying something to him. When he was asked by the prosecution counsel, Brendan Graham, what I had said to him, he didn't know. And I stood up in the court, I addressed Judge Michael White, and I told Judge Michael White that I said nothing to Jim McGovern, and I did not want to speak to Jim McGovern, and I had nothing to say to Jim McGovern. So there were days, there were 60 members of An Garda Síochána in that courtroom. Most days, 10, 12, 14 guards, and myself and Caroline. And considering we had never been in a courtroom before this, for this clown, Mark Phillips, to suggest into a court that we, myself and Caroline, were in some way intimidating the members of NBCI, the National Bureau of Criminal Investigation. I think they're the most highly trained Garda unit on the island of Ireland, and myself and Caroline were intimidating them inside the courtroom. They never mentioned it to us, they never said it to us, I was never questioned, Caroline was never questioned, Eugene Flynn Sr. was never questioned. This is a crock of shite. It is so pathetic, and as I've said in the notes, in the description, if it wasn't so serious, it is pathetically funny. And this goes to the grain of total disrespect for Detective Guard Adrian Donoghue, who lost his life. This man here is doing everything in his power to protect himself and Pat Murray. There is not a thought, not a scintilla of thought for Detective Guard Adrian Donoghue in that courtroom today. The only thing that I can see at the back of the courtroom with Phillips, Kenna and the other two dummies that run about for them is self-preservation. Since the trial of the video, let's see, now I don't want, Detective, this is very good here. He detailed instances in which it is alleged Mr. Flynn Sr. called Gardaí liars, scum and fucking dickheads. Excuse the language. He said Mr. Flynn Sr. accused of Gardaí of trying to stitch him up and suggested that detectives have got the security guard to bully him. Now this is very interesting here, as funny and as stupid as this paragraph is. He said Mr. Flynn Sr. accused the Gardaí of trying to stitch him up. Now this is very, very important because during the trial in the early days before the jury was sworn in, we were in the court from the 8th of October 2018 and the jury wasn't sworn in until the middle of January. There was a lot of legal argument all through October, November, December, and a good deal of January 2020. And during the course of that time, Eugene Flynn Sr. was referred to as a senior member of the logistical team connected to the murder and robbery at Large Credit Union, the murder of that man there, Detective Garda Adrian Donoghue. Now, the interesting thing is here, and we have covered this before, at that time, in 2013, unfortunately, Eugene Flynn Sr. and his wife were going through family issues in court. And as is very often the case in these family issues, the family there are sides taken. So Eugene Jr. and James would have possibly leaned more towards the mum side of the situation, and there was absolutely no contact. Now, we had one of the most intense phone data analysis on any case in the history of the Irish state. And this means that every phone call made by the Flynns, and even our phone, mine, Caroline's, Sonia, Lorraine, everyone's phone was scrutinised. Guess what? Not one communication between Eugene Flynn Sr. and his sons. Not one communication between Eugene Flynn Sr. and Aaron. So the man that's head of logistics has absolutely no contact whatsoever with the alleged gang. Did you ever hear such nonsense in all your life? So as these people here continue to tell lies and make up stories, it highlights even more the lies they are telling. And we have always shown that. Even in the middle of a silly paragraph, Mr. Flynn Sr. called the guards liars. I agree with him 100%. And we'll come to Mr. Phillips, what he said about Matt Catsy's tape. It was very apt. The video we released last night. Pat Murray is a liar. That he didn't know about Agent Catsy's interactions in Belfast Airport with James Flynn. He's a liar. I've published it on numerous occasions. Phillips didn't mention that today, that I had called him, you want to just read, I cancel it there. That could be a code song. It's just might be something wrong with one of the lives. Just check with her there. I'll keep going anyway. So I'll explain that. So the video we released last night, because it was pertinent and related to today's court case, we said Pat Murray was a liar because we showed quite clearly, very clearly, that Matt Catsky said, I was speaking to the men down south and they've promised this. I was speaking to the PSNI and they have assured me that they're not going to arrest you. And Pat Murray came into court on the oath and said he did not know that Matt Catsky was going to ambush Jimmy Flynn in Belfast Airport. This man said it today. I'll find it in my notes. He said something about the aftermath. What did Phillips say? You're a liar, Phillips. You're a total liar. Yes, he was asked, was he aware of Matt Catsky's actions? And he said, we weren't aware of it until the aftermath. But there is no doubt in the world because Phillips coordinated illegal activities with Matt Catsky, which has been highlighted by Thomas O'Callaghan. Thomas O'Callaghan, in his video with Gemma O'Doherty, told us that this man offered him a green card and said, just tell us that James Flynn and Eugene Flynn told you they were involved in the robbery when they were having a pint. And Thomas O'Callaghan, the strong man and moral man that he is, would not tell lies. And that man there got Thomas O'Callaghan deported from the United States of America. Because he wouldn't tell lies. That man there done deals with the paedophile Daniel Cahill. That man there done deals with the criminals and the drug dealers, Christopher Morton and Anthony Gerard Maguire. That man there done deals, pressurised and coerced Ronan Flynn. Told Ronan Flynn in an SUV in White Plains in New York, you will never see your wife and child again. So that's what that man has done. And today he said he didn't know anything about Matt Catsky's interactions prior to Matt Catsky doing it. I am saying categorically, Mark Phillips, you are a liar. So it's as simple as that. Then we went on to, it was mentioned about Molly Staunton. And Molly Staunton's ex-boyfriend sent her a Snapchat after Molly Staunton gave evidence during the court of Aaron's trial. Molly Staunton saved that Snapchat, and somehow this man here has linked that Snapchat to Aaron, and now he's trying to link it to James Flynn. James Flynn, I don't know. James Flynn never met or doesn't know Molly Staunton's ex-boyfriend. Absolutely nothing got to do with James Flynn's case. They're using the same brush that they used during the court of Aaron's trial, and the tendency to intimidate, or tendency to pervert the court of justice. So what these people do as they move along, they continue to put forward the same lies, the lies that we have shown quite categorically are the basis for the framing of our son Aaron and the framing of James Flynn. What else was taken? Again, when asked again if why he went against the James Flynn's bail, he said that James Flynn would continue this campaign of intimidation, as he called it. I will state once again, this has to be put across very, very clearly. James Flynn has never been in contact or has had nothing to do with any of the previous stories. The only people mentioned in the courtroom today was myself and Eugene Flynn Sr. And of course, Aaron was mentioned because Aaron recorded the footage of Ronan giving a statement where Mark Phillips is quite clearly seen coercing Ronan during the course of a statement and getting him to change the details of the vehicles because Ronan gets his lines wrong. And that must be highlighted. But and Aaron pleaded guilty to that, to recording the video. But what is vitally important when we look into the substance of Ronan Flynn's situation, 2 weeks before the video was released onto social media, Ronan Flynn spoke with Aaron's legal team and told them the exact same story he has told us, and we will be detailing, we'll be back onto that detailing Ronan's story, playing all the recordings we have with Ronan, where he tells us how he was coerced and how he was attacked by members of An Garda Síochána on the streets of New York, and how Mark Phillips and Paul Gill threatened him. So I will repeat once again, and we've covered this numerous times, obviously, in Aaron's campaign. It was totally detrimental to Aaron's case that those video clips were released on to the social media platforms. Totally and completely detrimental to Aaron. And we have always said, and it was proven during the course of Aaron's trial, that An Garda Síochána came forward, and you can imagine the technology An Garda Síochána have. They told us in court they couldn't locate where the clips were uploaded. Now, if I had to do it, well, we know I didn't do it. We know Eugene Flynn Sr. didn't do it. We know Aaron didn't do it, because we were sitting in the courtroom at the time the clips were released onto the social media websites. So it can't have been us. And we're led to believe that the might of the Technical Bureau in Phoenix Park and Garda Síochána don't know where the IP address or the area where the clips originated onto the social media platforms, which again is total bullshit. Because we know, and we say categorically, that An Garda Síochána knew that Ronan had contacted Aaron's solicitors, was coming forward to tell the truth about how he was intimidated by these people. And to stop that from happening, they created a complete shitstorm, and we believe Garda Brady was the man who released Ronan Flynn's clips onto the mainstream media and the social media websites and platforms. I will repeat once again, and we've been proven right once again, as Mark Phillips used it today again. It's the main stick he used today to try and beat James Flynn. James Flynn, nothing got to do with it. Totally removed from Aaron's case, totally removed from Ronan Flynn, because Ronan Flynn is not a witness in James Flynn's case. So there is no way James Flynn could have anything to do with it. He shouldn't have been allowed to bring that in today. But again, James's defence team put that across very clear. James Flynn is totally removed from any of this. And what this man done today is another disgrace to Irish justice. It's fucking disgusting what he done today. And when questioned and asked simple questions, he didn't know the answers to. He was totally oblivious to simple information he should have known. There were questioned too about the about the extradition warrant. And of course, that's something that has been appealed because James Flynn has been acquitted of the charges in the extradition warrant. And we have explained how they are going to justify a double jeopardy and allow this young man to be tried again is totally, it's bewildering. Now, what we are afraid of, and I suppose we can say it out now, that they're going to kick this down the can, they'll kick the can down the road, going to kick the can down the road. James Flynn's retrial will never happen because they know we're going to highlight the blue lights. They know we know about Term and Feckin. They know we know about Dromiskin. They know we know about every detail of the CCTV footage and the timings. They know we know about the witness statements. They know we know about certain witnesses who give evidence and that their phone data will not corroborate their statements because their statements were tampered with. And we believe this is an attempt to just prolong the saga that is the murder of Detective Mark Phillips. I repeat once again, what happened today was a total desecration of his memory. Totally. Now, another serious issue here is, and it's never been heard tell of before, that I think Brendan Condren or Bernard Condren for the defence did say, James Flynn nearly has his sentence served. And Mr. Condren said he had a look at the calendar, and the earliest possible time that James Flynn's retrial can start is February 2026. And there's a possibility James Flynn is due for release in August 26. So we can see what the prosecution are doing here. They're prolonging the inevitable and doing this. Not only are they torturing James, but they're torturing Aaron and our family even more. Because they know the inevitable is coming, they know the truth is there, because everyone in the country now has a picture of the man who murdered Detective Mark Phillips, and that man is 6'1". Aaron Brady is 5'7". So today's proceedings was the circus with the ringmaster, Mark Phillips, and the chief clown, Logan Staines. Now just back to this now. Where are we? Since the trial, videos of the same witnesses' testimony has been released on social media by Tony Brady, along with vitriolic commentary, Inspector Phillips said. I'm more than willing to meet you, Mr. Phillips, and discuss it. If I've committed a crime and you needed to arrest me, I was there today. Do you want to, we can go and discuss Molly Staunton's testimony? And I get the opportunity to ask you, why didn't you investigate who Seamus was? Tell them what you're fucking supposed to tell them. No more testimony. That's what the mystery man shouted at her. And you, Mark Phillips, and Brendan Graham, refused to investigate a witness being assaulted. The girl was assaulted and was visibly shaken. And yes, we have put that up on on Aaron's social media platforms. And if you have an issue with it, we'll meet you at any time to discuss it. And Mr. Reynolds, it would be no harm if you and the other mainstream journalists would report on the content of Molly Staunton's videos we have released. Now, it's all very well and proper, obviously, to report that they were released. And Mr. Reynolds, if you want to discuss Mark Phillips' assertion that our commentary is vitriolic, more than happy to discuss that. It's not vitriolic, it is the truth. Is what I am saying now wrong? Molly Staunton was assaulted. Molly Staunton was assaulted in her own kitchen. Molly Staunton was assaulted in her own kitchen by a mystery man after she had told the court she was alone. Isn't that right? No, I don't think any of that's incorrect. She committed perjury. She told Judge White and the court lies. The poor girl is mentally unwell. Does anyone want to dispute that? And her medication? We're more than happy to discuss that. The attack was seen by everyone in the court. Judge White, the prosecution, the defence, Mark Phillips and Brendan Graham decided not to investigate the main star witness being attacked. Now, what is vitriolic about that? Anyone? Any issues with it? Answers on a postcard, please, Mr. Reynolds, or Mr. Phillips, or Mr. Graham. And, of course, we have the situation where Molly Staunton, on more occasions during her testimony, said Aaron Brady didn't say he shot the cop. Didn't. He did not say it. Aaron Brady didn't say it. Is that vitriol? It's not vitriol. It is the truth. And when you try to use this in the courts, it's all very well and that's fine. But when it's drilled down into and the full extent of it and the full truth is put before you. I was in the courtroom today. Phillips was there. Kenna, the other two Larriers, big baldy fella. There's 5, 6, 7, 8 is there. I'm sure you could have arrested me or asked me to go for a chat about Molly Staunton's video and the vitriol that you claim is vitriolic. I would dispute that and will dispute it and debate it as and when it suits you. The detective also noted that during Brady's trial, Tony Brady would stand at the foyer of the court building with Mr. Flynn Sr. as the jury was walking out the front door. Detective Inspector Phillips said he formed the view that they were making their presence known to the jury. Well, the jury seen us in the courtroom, and they mightn't have seen Eugene Flynn Sr. because of COVID we were in separate courts, but we didn't have to make our presence known because the jury was looking at me and Caroline all day, so they knew we were there. So that is, again, if it wasn't so serious, it is pathetically stupid and funny. It is idiotic. Idiotic. He formed a few. He pointed out that Aaron Brady had pleaded guilty to conspiring with another man to dissuade one vital prosecution witness from giving evidence at his trial. The detective told the court that he believes the campaign of intimidation of witnesses will continue if James Flynn is released on bail. There are no witnesses in James Flynn's trial, you claim, yeah. There are no witnesses. He further pointed out, we'll go back to this because this is very important, we're on to the paedophile now and the drug dealer. He pointed out that Aaron Brady had pleaded guilty to conspiring with another man, that's Dean Byrne, to dissuade one vital prosecution witness from giving evidence at his trial. The star witness, Daniel Cahill. The man who was stabbed 7 or 8 times and thrown out of Dublin City. The man who attacked people in New York with a machete and was still allowed to stay in New York. The man who has subsequently and recently assaulted another gentleman and has another protection order. A man who allegedly hid in an attic for 6 hours, hiding on Mr. Phillips and Mr. Gill, an immigration removal officer, NYPD, Homeland Security, and a drug unit from New York. And this is the man that Mark Phillips wants to stand up for. The paedophile that is Daniel Cahill. That is how pathetic this gets in the memory of Detective Garda Adrian Donoghue. They want to support this man's memory with a paedophile and a scumbag like Daniel Cahill. And again, I've said this for 4 or 5 years. Our campaign has said it. If there's an issue with it or anything, if it's vitriolic, if there's anything incorrect about what I'm saying about Daniel Cahill, once again, Mr. Reynolds and all the mainstream media, once again, Mark Phillips, once again, Brendan Graham, once again, Lorcan Staines, send a message on a postcard or else contact me. Ring us. You have my telephone number. We're more than willing to discuss all these scumbags with you at any given time. And once again, Daniel Cahill, nothing got to do with James Flynn's case. Shouldn't have been allowed to be mentioned today. It's just, it's actually, I think it was one of the last things. A mud throwing around the court. That's what Bernard Condon described your antics today, Mr. Phillips. That's what was described as mud throwing around the court. That's what the senior counsel for the defence thought of your performance in the circus today. What else has he written here? And walk into the front door. Yeah. Before the point out the Brady pleaded the right detectives. I don't know what this got to, but Mr. Flynn also has access to a significant amount of money, which would be true. James had his own businesses in America. James had his own businesses in Northern Ireland. James and his brother and his family had their own businesses in the Republic of Ireland. So the possibility of James Flynn crawling through fields to try and undertake an armed robbery or to steal cars, creeper burglary style, is somewhat ludicrous and makes absolutely no sense. And it was discussed today that James travelled back and forth on a regular basis between the Republic of Ireland and America, and as we've covered before in the videos, it seems that James was only a part-time member of this alleged gang. Oh, the gang! One man in prison and no sign of all the rest of them. No sign of the man with the Dublin accent or the female car driver. The getaway driver. No sign. Your whole investigation and case is a crock of shit. Every turn, every line, the same as I said as the entire prosecution case, every important paragraph, we can contradict it. The same as this here today. What else did Mr. Flynn with an address was originally charged with conspiracy to steal cars of various locations in the northeast. He was further charged with participation in the robbery of Lodge Credit Union in Belogan in January, in which Aaron Brady shot and killed Detective Garda Síochána. We know Aaron didn't do it, was a man of 6'3", but James Flynn has been acquitted of all those things. Because at the time Detective Garda Síochána was brutally murdered, James Flynn's vehicle and James Flynn are in the square on Crossmaglen. The three-judge non-jury special criminal court acquitted Mr. Flynn of the robbery charge, but amended the conspiracy in the indictment. So there's a bit of hickory-pokery went on to amend the indictment and the charges. Now, we believe this was done intentionally because no judge would actually do this because it would be a very basic law that you can't change an indictment, you cannot change the charge without notification to both parties. And Judge Tony Hunt and the other judges took it upon themselves to change the indictment so that this circus could take place today. And the can could be kicked further down the road. I have no doubt about that. Without consulting, that's the mistake that we've covered numerous. In submission to court, Mr. Condon said that there is no evidence that Mr. Flynn is a flight risk or that he will interfere with witnesses. And there is nothing to link his client to the actions of either the father of those, to his father or those of Tony Brady. Now, these actions, Mr. Condon did say, we are not responsible for the sins of our brothers, nor are we responsible for the sins of our fathers, counsel submitted. What are our sins? I'm still waiting for someone to stand up and say, if we've committed sins, we're more than happy to discuss them. Obviously, Mr. Condon had to use that terminology today and that comparison. But it's a very apt comparison because it's absolutely nothing. You'd think it was myself and Eugene Flynn that were on trial today, but we've never even been charged with anything. The whole thing is a crock of shit, Mark Phillips. And as Mr. Condon also said, it was mud thrown around the court. The accused man has a closer relationship with his mother than his father, and that was very, very important, I mentioned earlier, in respect of Eugene Sr. being bandied about and more mud throwing by Graham and Staines during the course of Aaron's trial and pre-trial, where Eugene Flynn was a senior member of the logistics gang when he had absolutely no contact with the two boys. It's ludicrous. And obviously, and this is very important, counsel described James as a hard-working man, devoted to his family and providing for them. He's an honest man, and he's not going to disappear off the face of the earth and turn his back on his wife and children. And we would say here to that. James has always looked after and provided for his wife and his children. And what his wife and his family and his children and what James has been put through there today it's a complete farce. The three things were highlighted there again today, and it proves what we have said from day one is the truth. It's scandalous what this man has done. And I will say once again, Mark Phillips committed perjury today. Committed perjury today in court number 11 in the CCJ in Dublin. He knew full well that Agent Matt Katsky was going to ambush James Flynn at Belfast Airport. That is my contention. And if they have any issues with that, answers on a postcard. So that went on a little bit longer than I intended, but we have to get these things across. I really, really sincerely hope James gets his bail tomorrow and he gets home to his wife and children. And again, it will blow a hole the size of North America into the case against Aaron Brady. And our son's incarceration in Portlaoise prison must be stopped. Aaron Brady must be freed, because this is a farce. And it continues to be a farce each and every day. And we are not going to stop until we get our son out. And please, please God, James will walk free tomorrow. Thank you for watching. We will be creating videos and making a little bit more detail on what there was other information and other points discussed that after tomorrow's decision we will look into in much more detail, and we will continue to bring you more evidence and show that what we are seeing is the truth. Please like, comment and share. We've been very, very heavily censored at the moment. That's why we need to do the lives. Please like, comment and share. Please like, comment and share. Thank you very much, and we will be back with another video hopefully in the next couple of days. Thank you and God bless. Thank you. And I think this is YouTube. How do I stop it? I think that's YouTube stopped.